If a thing happens, a thing has happened. Thing happens twice, it's a coincidence. 3 times, it's a trend. Upwards of that, certainly the stuff from which foreign desk explainers may be hewn. Off the northeast coast of Taiwan, an undersea cable has been damaged. There has been, as has been cunningly foreshadowed, a fair bit of this sort of thing recently, and not only in the vicinity of Taiwan, and we shall get to that presently, but first to the most recent incident, with the caveat that so frequently are undersea cables getting twanged of late that it is far from impossible that another might have gone between the recording and the broadcast of this explainer, and indeed it is not completely inconceivable that some of the foreign desk's vast and discerning global audience may have been deprived of even hearing this precisely because of such an occurrence. Beat that, Alanis Morissette. Listeners too young to appreciate this deft mid-90s cultural reference can ask a parent. On January 3rd, one of the fibre optic cables which links Taiwan to other countries in the region was cut by means of a ship's anchor dragging the ocean floor. No great disruption was occasioned. Taiwan, long used to living with menace and harassment, is more diligent than most countries where backup contingency planning is concerned. Changhua Telecom acted swiftly to reroute data via other cables, and none of our Taiwanese listeners, hello and Happy New Year to you, missed anything. The culpable vessel appears to have been a conspicuously rusty freighter variously listed as the Shunqing 39 or the Jingshun 39, flying the flag of either or both Cameroon and Tanzania, broadcasting its position from 2 sets of identification equipment, all of which just sounds tremendously above board, but owned by Hong Kong company Jiang Trading, whose sole director is a Chinese citizen, as are the ship's crew. It was travelling from the Taiwanese port of Keelung to Busan in South Korea when the cable was damaged. Taiwanese authorities do not appear to be spending much time contemplating the innocent accident, just one of those things hypothesis. The extremely thinly veiled assertion of Taiwanese authorities is that the cable was deliberately cut on the instructions of China. It is, on form, not an outrageous allegation. Undersea cables connected to Taiwan have been cut perhaps 30 times in the last 5 years alone. This can happen by mishap. Such cables are usually only between 20 and 30 millimeters wide, and even when protected by steel casing are no match for a ship's anchor, and the waters around Taiwan are busy, and accidents do happen. But Taiwan does not believe it is this unlucky. Which prompts the question of why China would do this, which prompts the answer of why would China not? China, in its long quest to reincorporate what it regards as the temporarily rogue province of Taiwan, has never attempted persuasion or charm, unless one counts the bizarre propaganda campaign directed at the outlying Taiwanese island of Kinmen between 1958 and 1979, when the People's Republic intermittently blitzed bewildered locals with propaganda leaflets conveyed by artillery shells. In many realms, China pursues a policy of annoying, undermining, and intimidating Taiwan, sometimes subtly, sometimes not, the intention being, apparently, to dull Taiwan's response if and when push meets shove. A campaign of snapping undersea cables is also deliciously, doubly deniable, in that you can claim it wasn't you, and if it was, you didn't do it on purpose. Which is why it has become such a popular tactic. In November last year, 2 similar cables under the Baltic Sea were severed. A Chinese-registered cargo ship, Yipeng 3, was in the vicinity at the time and manoeuvring notably weirdly. China refused Swedish prosecutors permission to board, and Yipeng 3 was last seen sailing the Suez Canal en route back home, mission apparently accomplished. On Christmas Day, cables connecting Finland and Estonia were damaged. A Cook Islands registered tanker, Eagle S, was boarded by Finnish police and escorted to Porvoo, where investigations are ongoing. Curiously, Eagle S was uninsured, and even more curiously, Eagle S was reportedly fitted with sophisticated surveillance equipment unusual for a vessel of its quotidian type. Eagle S's anchor snapped from its cable almost as if it had encountered some sort of resistance while being deliberately dragged along the seabed, has been recovered by the Swedish Navy. The consensus appears to be that Eagle S is a component of Russia's so-called Shadow Fleet, an armada of dubious vessels engaged in breaking sanctions, as well as, on occasion, the telecoms infrastructure of Russia's adversaries. NATO has now resolved to dispatch warships to loom ominously in areas where further such shenanigans might be anticipated. So far, at least, the sabotage operations have proved merely tedious, but they are a representation of what the West is up against. A foe which takes no heed of rules and norms or any responsibility for its actions is often at a natural advantage. For Monocle Radio, I'm Andrew Mueller.